The day my husband of 18 years looked me in the eyes and told me I was no longer needed. I did not cry. I did not scream. I simply looked at the man I had given my entire life to. And I made a decision. Now everything will be different. But I did not yet know how different it would truly become. His name was Oleg Yuryevich, and for 18 years I believed he was my home. I was wrong. It was an ordinary Tuesday evening. I had made dinner, his favourite, the way he liked it. The table was set. The apartment was clean. Everything was the way he wanted it to be. He walked in without greeting me. He sat down at the table, looked at his food, and then looked at me. "Lyudmila," he said, "we need to talk." Those 4 words. I had heard them before in movies, in books. I always thought, that will never happen to me. Oleg and I were solid. We were forever. "I am leaving you," he said. The room went quiet, not because he stopped talking, but because something inside me simply stopped. "Her name is Olesia," he continued, as if reading from a script he had rehearsed many times. "She is 26 years old. She is expecting my child." 26. I was 44. I gripped the edge of the table. I said nothing. "I have already spoken to a lawyer," Oleg said, "about the apartment. You understand, it was registered in my name, so technically..." He paused. "Technically, you have no legal claim to it." I looked at him. This man I had nursed through 2 surgeries. This man whose mother I had cared for in her final years. This man for whom I had given up my career, my dreams, my 20s, my 30s, my 40s. "There is a room," he said, almost gently. "My late uncle's room, in a communal apartment across the city. I can arrange for you to stay there. It is small, but it is something." A small, run-down room in a communal apartment. That was his offer, after 18 years. I stood up slowly. I walked to the window. Outside, the city was moving, cars, people, life continuing as if nothing had happened. "How long?" I asked quietly. "How long what? How long have you been with her?" He was silent for a moment. 3 years. 3 years. While I was cooking his dinners, while I was washing his shirts, while I was sitting across from him at this very table, believing we were a family. I turned around. "All right," I said. He blinked. He had expected tears, perhaps, screaming, begging. "All right," I said again. "I will go." And I walked to the bedroom to pack my things. Let me tell you who I was before Oleg. I was a woman with plans, with dreams. I had studied economics. I had a job I loved. Small, but mine. I had friends who made me laugh until my stomach hurt. Then I met Oleg at 26 years old. He was charming, confident, and certain about everything, including me. "You do not need to work," he told me a year into our marriage. "I will take care of everything. You take care of our home, our family." And I agreed, because I loved him, because I believed him. The children we tried for never came. Year after year we tried, year after year we failed. Each loss was a wound that never fully healed, and Oleg, instead of holding me through the pain, began to pull away. "Perhaps it is your fault," he said once after a particularly hard loss. He did not say it cruelly, he said it the way someone states a fact. And somehow that was worse. I buried that sentence deep inside me. I told myself he was stressed. I told myself he did not mean it. I told myself that if I just tried harder, cooked better, kept the house cleaner, smiled more. Things would get better. They never got better. His career grew. Mine disappeared. His circle of friends expanded. Mine shrank to almost nothing. He travelled for work, came home tired and distant, and I waited, always waited, like a woman standing at a window, watching for someone who was already gone. And through all of it, I stayed. Because I had nowhere else to go? Because I had given everything to this life, and I did not know how to build another one? Because I still, foolishly, blindly, believed that the man I had married was still in there somewhere, and that one day he would come back to me. He never did. Instead, he came home one Tuesday evening and told me about Olesya. The communal apartment was everything he had described, and worse. The room was small enough that I could touch both walls if I stretched my arms. The wallpaper was peeling at the corners. The radiator made a noise at night like a dying animal. The shared kitchen smelled of boiled cabbage and old pipes. I sat on the edge of the narrow bed that first night with one suitcase at my feet. And I thought, this is what 18 years looks like. This room, this silence, this suitcase. I did not sleep that night. I lay in the dark, and I listened to the unfamiliar sounds of the building. Footsteps above me, a television through the wall, distant laughter, and I felt more alone than I had ever felt in my life. In the morning, I cried. I will not pretend I did not. I cried for a long time, sitting on the floor with my back against the cold wall, crying the way you cry when you have held everything inside for too long and your body simply cannot hold it anymore. And then I stopped. I washed my face. I put on clean clothes. I walked out of that small room and into the shared kitchen. There were 2 women already there. One was older, perhaps 70, with white hair and kind eyes behind thick glasses. Her name was Nina. The other was younger, sharp-faced and quick-tongued, with paint-stained fingers and a loud laugh. Her name was Alla. "New neighbour," Alla announced, as if I were a surprise gift. "Sit down, coffee is ready." I sat down, and for the first time in a very long time, someone poured me a cup of something warm without being asked. Nina patted my hand across the table. She did not ask what had happened. She seemed to already know, or perhaps she had simply seen enough of life to recognize grief when it walked through a door. "It gets better," she said simply. I did not believe her then, but I remembered those words. The following week, I found a job at a kindergarten nearby. Not the career I had once imagined, but it was something. It was mine. The children were loud and unpredictable and wonderfully indifferent to my pain. They needed me to be present, and so I was present. Day by day, I rebuilt. Not dramatically, not all at once, just slowly, quietly, stubbornly. I rebuilt. If you loved this emotional story, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more powerful episodes. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay strong, and thank you for watching.